happy to have you here today. We're about to start the show, hooray! Welcome to Amy's on Cabaret.
Yay, welcome. Yay, yay. Oh, someone's going to sing the song again.
Let's do it again.
Our song is hitting again. I turned it off.
Oh, wait. Sorry.
That's Barb loves the song. And as a reminder, Barb wrote most of the lyrics in the song with my partner, Richard, who's hiding somewhere. And so Barb's #1 fan.
Technically, I think Richard is the lyricist.
Yeah, that's true.
And I wrote the music.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's the piano in the background. Yeah. Awesome. Yay. Well, now that we moved on, I wanted to reintroduce my druid penguin from last week. His name is Archer. And also, Archer is no longer alone. I don't know if you could see here, but he's got some friends. Here's Archer. It's a tiny penguin. None of them have been colored in yet, but the Marcha penguins will be starting soon. And also, I was working on a yarn bomb a little bit last week.
Yes.
I don't know. And maybe you guys can comment, and also my co-host and people here with me. Is this still a yarn bomb?
I see yarn. I don't see why not.
It's still a yarn. It's anatomically incorrect. Notice his skull, his rib cage is not in his body. But I did finger knitting, so I think it's a yarn bomb.
Right.
I'll be working on that more. And Barb, what were you working on? Show us.
Last week's thing?
Yes, let's see.
Okay, well, so last week we were doing the natural world.
Yes.
I was using plastic bags to start knitting.
Bring that close. Let us see it up close.
We're not knitting, crochet. Yeah. So I was using that. And then I kind of started expanding out from there. And as you keep going, it gets more and more twisty like this.
Like coral.
Yeah, and corally.
And then I noticed something on your head.
Where?
Yeah.
Something on your head.
Oh, my crown. My
it's easy to forget when you are royalty, so.
I guess so.
Yes, I mean, it's harder.
Yes. And then our special guest this week is Cindy Rinne, also known as Fiberverse, I believe.
Yeah.
That's what's on your website. Is it fiberverse.com?
Yes.
Awesome. Yay. And Cindy, how do we even know each other?
Well, apparently we met at the Museum of Art and History in Lancaster, MOA, doing a fashion show because we create costumes.
And both Cindy and I are wearing our costumes from that show.
Well, this is a new one, but it's still the same idea.
It's the same idea. It looks similar. I posted in social media the one from the show.
Yes. The other one's a little hard to sit down in.
That's true.
Bulging.
Yeah. So Cindy, tell us what's around you. You got so much art.
So I have a stack of fabric that will be showing you how I use it on a quilt. And I have this, it's kind of like a little pillow. And
I thought it was a hat.
There. So I'm going to read. So it starts like this. Stitch together pieces, 2 circles. So this will be the next one. And I'm working on a series.
Oh, yes. There's a poem. Because also, let me
There's
just...
a poem that's on, pieces of the poem are on this actual artwork. And this is in a show right now in Joshua Tree, California at the Beatnik Lounge online. And
I love that.
the poem is Rose Antlers Goddess Bee Moon. The moon knows about the bees, even if they sleep under her watch. Roses share secrets with the antlered goddess. She oversees the flower garden, a fertile ground for the buzz. Light and shadow sides of her collect turquoise and coral, to protect against depression as the honey melts. So there's actually turquoise and coral stitched on here by hand.
Oh.
And I started a series with roses and the moon and just kept going with it. And so bats and owls and constellations and all kinds of things have shown up since, which is a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And thank you for explaining, because as everyone might have noticed, I posted today, the Midnight Garden is our theme. And Barb and I have gathered around, just like Cindy has. I have a lot of fabric around me. Barb's got a lot of papers. And we're going to be entertained and educated at the same time as Cindy shows us how she starts to develop at least some of the art quilts and give us an idea. And Barb and I are either going to work along or be inspired by Cindy. So Cindy, I'll let you show us anything you want and how you start your process.
Okay. So originally I was going to design everything on the show, but this just started to happen and you have to go with it.
Yes.
So this is what I would consider a base. So I've pulled a fabric that kind of started this piece. So usually there's one fabric that starts it. And this is more succulents in the nighttime. And then I build around the colors. So I've got cats and moons and roses and some deer because there's antlers and there's a deer constellation. So I didn't originally have these deer in here, but then when the deer constellation showed up, I'm like, whoa, I have some antlers I can use. And I like spots, but spots could be, stars around them. And there's one piece of vintage kimono silk in here. I usually use that a lot, but I'm using a lot of newer fabrics for this series right now. Just depends. But I also have brought in, so I wanted to show you how something could change. Example, like if I put the flowers, I don't know if you can see down at here.
Oh yeah, let's take a look.
Or I could put them in another space and it changes it. And so, like I said, this is sort of the starting point and anything can happen. And I like to do a lot with shears and layers. And last night, this little figure fell on the floor that I haven't seen for a long time. So I decided she wanted to be in the piece.
Oh,
she is also connected to, she comes from this story. So I also do some zines, and I did the cover for this one. And the dress that I wore in that fashion show is actually from the play that starts out this zine. And it's I've got hand coloring and illustrations inside. And
that is so cool.
30, and there's only a few left.
Oh, and where can we purchase some if we wanted?
On my website, I have a shop.
Perfect.
So she just showed up, the little girl that's in my story. So she'll be somewhere. And I also I found these circles. They're lame. And I have Ziploc bags full of them that someone gave them to me. But now that I'm doing a moon series, and I found them the other day.
Perfect.
Perfect, right? To shine.
That is.
And color. And they just kind of, work in there. I have so much fabric that I forget sometimes what I have. So it's like going to the store when I dig through a box. Like, wow.
I understand. You go to the bottom of the bin.
The bottom of the bin.
We can relate, yeah.
Yeah, we can totally relate. I was saying I just grabbed a few things. But Barb, do you have a base idea? You were talking earlier to us.
I was initially thinking, and I still kind of am. I think, I want to dig through all my papers and see what I can.
What you got in there?
But,
yeah.
I have some blacks, but I also have this nice, pretty kind of muddled bluish mulberry paper, which is is lovely.
Gorgeous.
And the back side of it, or the front side really, because that's probably the back, is this Sphinx pattern. It's kind of fun.
That is fun.
I have an overabundance of paper.
That's what
And then I dug out, yeah,
That's a
I
good
dug out
thing.
a small amount of some of my other things. So we'll see.
Yeah.
that happened.
Myself, I was going to try to keep
Yeah.
a series going with this piece that I've showed you before. I've been slowly sewing on more buttons. But I don't want to go too much bigger than that, which is actually pretty much the standard interior design 6x6 or so piece.
Yeah. I have lots of those too.
Yeah, I have a whole stack. I was like, I should use these things up. And then I was thinking I don't know if I want to have this on the bottom. It's a silicone piece or something, polyurethane. That's what it is. But look, it looks like I'm in the Midnight Garden with all these animals.
Beautiful.
You know, and these are all, raccoon is a night animal. I guess a hare is. Beaver, a lot of weird animals that went put together. Koala. This is where we need Karen to tell us. So are there also beavers and bees and butterflies and moths near the koala? If you're awake already, Karen, let us know. I know there's a lot of animals in Australia, but I don't know if these all really go together. But I might use this. It also looks like I just found a shark on there too. I'm not sure. Is that a shark?
I only see a rabbit.
So many animals. And then I have another one that I think's daytime. I can't be sure.
Shark.
There's a raccoon on this one too, and a koala. Either way.
Oh, look at this.
Ooh, that's perfect.
I found
That's
this.
beautiful.
I found this.
You are set.
I got a lot of stuff. That's the problem though, is like you get too much stuff.
Yes, I agree.
have a moth, and I wanted to share
It's nice.
that I use something that's called Steamacine 2, and it's sticky on two sides. So you cut out your shape, and then you stick it on. But what's nice is I can move it around as many times as I want
Oh, cool.
until I iron it, and then it's permanent.
Oh, so you don't even have to stitch it down.
No, but I like to, because I just, over time, I'd like to stitch, unless
So
it's
it's
really,
secure.
really tiny detail. So it's nice if you had like really small antenna or something, you wouldn't have to stitch them.
Nice. Oh,
And
Karen.
sometimes if
yeah.
really small, I quilt around the items, the object, so then it's still, you know.
Do you do that by
dimensions.
hand or all machine?
No, I do the machine. I draw with my sewing machine.
Excellent.
And I do some hand embroidery and beading and those kinds of things. But, you know, this is going to be machine quilted.
Cool.
When I started quilting, I found out that you could draw with the machine. So you drop the feed dogs and it's loose. And I already, knew how to draw. I've been an artist my whole life. So I thought, okay, I'll just learn how to draw with the sewing machine.
It's just another tool.
It took 5 years to get the stitches even, because it's freeform. And if you sneeze, it goes. So it took a while, but I finally got, the stitches where I can do, but you can do whatever size then. You can do large or small. You can zigzag across the piece. So the butterfly or the moth can be moved around. Then I have some laces. This is Nigerian lace.
That's always good.
So I'll be putting laces on. These come from like wedding dresses. I get the scraps.
Oh,
I know. That's the nice thing about doing collage. I get a lot of great scraps from people.
And
I have a raccoon too.
Oh, you have a raccoon too?
For you.
Oh, Karen chimed in, said there's no beavers or raccoons in Australia. So I don't know what's going on with my fabric.
Well, that's even more a reason to put them on.
Maybe I will use that as my background. I was about to switch, but I also, you reminded me there's certain settings on ironing irons that you can use to peel this stuff off the interior design samples.
Really?
Yeah, the settings, but it depends on
that's
the
right.
kind of material it is. So that will tell you how hot or not to put this on the paper and then it'll peel off. You're basically just melting the glue. And there's a lot of things. You could do some research online. But today, I'm just going to rip it off. I'm not going
Sometimes
to get
it
all
doesn't
fancy.
rip off, though.
I know, it didn't really. The back ripped off.
They didn't
you know
make
what?
it for us.
This just gives you a moment to put another piece of fabric over it. You know?
Yeah.
Cover it up in my collage.
Just cover it up. Cover things
Okay.
up.
I'm going to tilt down. So we can all start. Do you have suggestions? Do we just move stuff around? Should I cut stuff? Well, I'm going to go through my fabric.
Well, I started out with some larger shapes on this piece.
Oh, and how do you keep stuff on before you lose it? Like move it around? Like I grabbed my pins from
Normally,
my can of pins here.
yeah, I have pins today. Normally there's spray glue.
Mm.
And I do that outside before, but
Yeah.
like I said, I wasn't planning on designing this piece and it started happening, so I didn't have the glue on it. I didn't want to take it back off.
Yeah.
So right now I did some pins so I can hold it up. So the glue is good, but I still have to use pins because I just put this sheer on top and that's not going to touch the glue. But I started with these two corners, the big shapes, and then got smaller, worked out the big shapes. But that's not every time. But I do usually have, a starter for the colors.
Mm-hmm.
Really holds.
So I'm going to start with these animals. So when I'm done with it, I'll take a picture and send it to Karen to find out if these are all in Australia. This is an animal that looks like a corn cob. I don't know what's going on. And then it looks like a salamander on a bicycle. It's very open to interpretation.
It is fun today. And I usually repeat a fabric 2 or 3 times. In art, you usually do odd numbers, but sometimes things are just a couple times.
Yeah.
Because then it moves the eye around.
I was just talking to someone about asymmetrical or symmetrical. So what do you prefer in your art?
Oh, I'm definitely asymmetrical.
Yay, me too.
And with the batting that I use, that's cotton, I actually can do shapes that doesn't have to be a straight edge.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I just put this a little bit lower, the little girl a little bit lower, and it'll make a shape. Sometimes I have lace come off the bottom. That creates shadows when it's hanging on a wall.
Nice.
So there's lots of options. And
do you ever use old sheets or old blankets for the backing?
No, I don't.
Some people do. I was just wondering.
I like warm and natural because you don't have to quilt every inch. I can leave open spaces because I'm not doing a continuous pattern. I'm drawing. I need to have some open space. Plus, I can do the edges uneven if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
It won't come apart. But like a lot of these fabrics are new, but I do have a lot that I'm, recycling from people. And I have laces and crochet pieces that are antique and from different families. So, I do have a lot that's from others. And then sometimes I buy stuff.
Cool. Yeah. I think
I've been buying more just because this is a new theme.
Mm.
Yeah. So people have questions. You have a chat space?
We do have the chat. The chat is open. People can say hello. We have Karen earlier said, very cool, Barb. That might have been the crochet piece that you finished.
I think it was either that or the crown.
Yeah. And Richard loves the crown. So yes, the chat is open. Please let us know you're listening or watching or, either or ignoring. I was going to say, but how could you let us know you're ignoring us? Very complicated.
Don't ignore us.
Don't ignore us. Sorry.
It's like calling someone to ask them their phone number.
So when I'm I'm cutting, quilters call this fussy cutting because I'm cutting out a specific shape. I usually leave some of the background about 1/8 of an inch around so that I can stitch the
Yeah.
machine in the background color, and it also sets it off.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't go super close. And it's nice too when, like I said, there's a butterfly antenna or something, then I don't have to cut it out so thinly.
That's true.
But that's my style. That's me. I've always liked collage. So this collaging with fabric, I actually started in watercolor and acrylics, but I've been doing fiber art now for many, many years.
Many moons, would you say?
Many moons.
Nice,
Sorry.
He's not gonna let us forget the theme.
It's a good one.
Many
Yeah.
moons.
Many moons.
It is good. Yeah.
Many moons.
I'm making quite a mess on my desk. Let me tilt down a little so you can see.
That's the point, isn't it?
It is the point to make a mess. It's true. And I've decided I really like these animals so much. I'm going to use the back of it. And that way I still have the animals on the front.
Oh, that'll be
So-
great.
Nice.
Mine's going to be two-sided.
Excited. Look at you.
So I might actually use a little bit of glue to hold it down. So hold on as I disappear. Talk amongst yourselves.
Huh.
Okay, what's happening, Barb?
We can talk about things. Okay. So one fun question is, what was the favorite or the first thing you remember making?
Barb, you're breaking up.
The first thing you remember making in
Oh, you can't hear me? Oh. The first thing you remember making. Yeah.
What are you asking? I remember drawing like at 4 years old out in the backyard. I don't know about making something, but I did.
No, I think that counts, Cindy, because I was along those lines. I remember going to my grandparents' house, going right into the dining room, right? I knew which drawer to open in their cupboard and pull out the 8-pack of giant crayons.
There it is.
And then also, I just want to note, I'm wearing these hand crocheted earrings that my mom made for me.
Oh, you're so pretty.
And I thought they kind of would be moons for today's episode.
Yes. Yes. Have the moon.
Oh, we have an update here from Karen. Salamanders are not native to Australia either. and that she likes the layering that Cindy's doing. Cindy, the layering, it's working very well. And Barb's mom likes the way Cindy uses black as a background, which goes with the theme. How often do you use black as a background, Cindy? That's a good question.
Well, this is a new series. So I would say that's a newer thing for me to be doing the blacks and the dark grays. And I'm really liking it because it's like a foggy day where it makes all the other colors pop. And it's kind of mysterious. But I do have some light areas, and I just sort of pretend like that's the light from the moon.
Yes.
It's not totally dark. So, or, there could be a light outside for things to show up. But it's a newer thing. And I do like darks. I work maybe more with burgundies or navies, but the black is a little new. Yeah, good question.
Very cool. And then Barb, what do you remember first making?
I think the first thing I recall making is a little book that was probably stapled together that had, I think, like 4 pages and said on each page, one word, "I love you, Mom."
Oh,
Which she could tell you. She might still have. I think that might be in the studio still.
That's so sweet.
I thought of something that I used to make. I was about 10 years old. I made dolls all by hand.
Oh,
there you go.
I used to make clothes for my Barbie. So I still have the dolls.
Nice.
They're like little rag dolls. But that's probably one of my first making things. My mom had a sewing machine, but I didn't know how to use it then.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. It's funny you say that because my mom will tell us in chat in one moment probably, that she also used to just make clothes for her Barbies, and that's like one of her earliest things.
Nice.
Those are tiny. That's
good
hard
company.
to do.
I know, yeah.
But our hands were much smaller, so. And then,
That's true.
so Barb's mom's also going to be on a future episode where the theme is dolls. Oh no, I gave it away. So Cindy, you'll have to either check in with us, or you can be the fourth person, or make some dolls along with us.
I used to make dolls a lot.
It can even be a doll-themed quilt.
True.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good thing I grabbed 2 glues. I'm almost done with that one. Move that over. Oh, thank you. Karen likes my earrings. Thank you. My mom says thank you, I'm sure. Barb, your mom is commenting.
She likes the book.
Oh,
The I Love You Mom book.
Who wouldn't?
oh yes.
Who wouldn't? You can make me one too.
Okay. I will make you a book that says I love you, Mom.
Yeah, that's fine.
Why not?
Interesting.
I have a very purple black theme happening here.
Ooh.
I'm going more with I guess nature, like garden. I'm in the garden actually.
With the raccoons.
With the raccoons. So I'm not in an Australian garden. That's all I know.
That's okay. That's okay.
I might go.
So this pattern I thought kind of repeated moons.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That is nice. So what the good thing is with this glue stick is I can sew over it, and it won't ruin my needle. I'll just need a sharp needle to get through this polyurethane.
Yes.
Polyester knit.
Yes.
Silicone. It's got a lot of stuff on it. Now that I'm reading the label.
So I wanted to show a couple other things that I make.
Yes, that's what I want. Let's see. Let's check out what you got.
So I brought a few. I do fiber art pins.
Are those the pins? Oh, those are cute.
So, yeah, there's a bird with a feather.
Oh, that's really
I
cool.
have a fox and a hedgehog.
A fox in a box.
And then I also do, I call them ornaments, but people hang these year round from.
Those are cool. I thought it was going to be a necklace.
No, I've done a couple necklaces, but these are more for hanging. This has real coral. This one has real coral on it.
Oh, wow.
And vintage kimono silk and some vintage beads on the star.
So are they
Since we're talking about books, I have a couple other zines I thought people might like to see. This one just has photographs. It's called Discarded, and the drawings are from all over California. And then I took pictures of discarded couches and things.
Awesome.
Neighborhood. And decided, and sometimes I integrate the pictures with the drawings. I decided not to put any words inside, which is hard to do when you're a poet. But I've always wanted to do a book without words, so I finally
Good to challenge yourself.
I did.
Yeah.
And then this one's called Geocentric, another zine.
Oh.
It's got my photographs and poems. So there's hail. That was unusual to have hail in Southern California, so I ran out in the hail and took pictures in my backyard. And it's about, we used to think that we were the center of the universe, and then during the book that idea changes.
Oh, nice.
And then sometimes I work smaller. So these are small pieces.
Nice.
So
They look like bookmarks.
Now they're a little bigger.
Or a big coffee table book.
Big bookmarks. And this is a new piece, and it's 2 layers. So I like that there's surprises underneath.
Nice.
And this one has rice paper on it. I talked about stitching rice paper on.
Is the bug the rice paper? Nice.
There's a bug, there's some poetry. So sometimes the poetry ends up in the work.
Very
and
cool.
Buttons. And lots of rice paper stitched on there.
That's really
And it lasts. It'll last. And then, you know, Amy's at the beach, so I had to bring my painted shells.
Yes.
And then I just wanted to show a piece that's from the Moonlight Garden. I don't know if that's going to end up being the name of the series, but for now it'll do. So it's long again.
Oh, wow.
I like scroll shapes, obviously.
Is that like a doily on there too? On the other side. It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, so I stitched that on.
Very
And
cool.
you see I was showing it to you upside down at first because
it worked that way.
Good design works both ways.
Yes,
That's
it does.
And it doesn't have the hanging sleeve on it yet, so I started out upside down. But you can see there's some sheer hanging to the side, so that
on
the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Shadows. And there's a little bit of where it comes out from the street. And I've got a bow.
I love it.
And then the rose here, this is from a vintage kimono, and it's very thick thread. I broke the needle. I broke, actually, this is the foot that you sew with to put this on. I broke everything to get this on there, but it's worth it because it's really gorgeous. So there are dangers.
Oh my gosh, I've broken needles while sewing too, yeah. And it's
That's
a little scary as they come at you.
Break your foot too. And
I haven't broken a foot, yeah.
I've sewed my finger once, and that will not ever happen again.
I usually just stab myself while hand stitching, but that's different.
I've done that several times, but yeah, on the machine. So I won't do that again.
Oh yeah, scary.
Only once.
But Cindy, Karen says your brooches are lovely.
Thank you.
Lovely. I know I like them.
Well, they're available on my website too.
Cool.
And I also like to use, I got some moon charms. Let's see. These are shell.
Oh, I have bug charms. I've sewn them onto a headband that I made from a cut up doily.
See?
But I think I'm going to
another layer.
Yeah, I think I'm going to eventually cut them off and make them into something else. And I was just going like this on here. I was like, maybe they'll go across.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, that's neat.
Texture. And I have vintage buttons and some little roses.
Yeah.
So the details go on later. Sometimes there aren't anything like this, and sometimes I have a lot of vintage buttons. It just depends on what the piece calls for.
And Barb, what's happening over there on your screen? I see stuff.
I'm
being inspired.
Yes. So I took that piece that had that, and then I did some shapes on it because I didn't want to use the whole green piece. So I got that, and then I turned away from the blue. I'm liking just like this black as the background for it. And this actually was like the negative from here, and I'm gonna flip that around and use it over here, so it kind of continues down. This is a piece of like some translucent paper with some texture in it, some other fibers, and so that's gonna be kind of like some clouds here.
Nice.
I'm not sure what else I'm gonna add yet, but we'll find out.
No,
so
that's awesome. Cindy,
I want to visit your garden.
Yeah, Barb's a great paper cutter. What I guess to say, paper cuts. You've done a bunch of those in the past.
I have done all those.
You got the eye for this immediately.
I can see that.
I really enjoy. I'm a little bit addicted to paper.
Addicted.
Paper's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to fabric.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a fabric issue
Yeah.
where I get rid of it and it comes back.
Mhm.
Comes back.
It does. Once people know what you do in your spare
Yes.
time, they're like, "Oh, I have all these pieces of fabric that you could have, or all this paper that you could have. I don't want it just
Right.
sitting in my place."
It's like I don't want it sitting in my place either.
And
See,
that's
now
why
these
we're
are
doing
cool
something.
too. I think I might use these pieces this side
Those
too.
are cool.
But it's also hard to say no because a lot of
They're-
times people have amazing things
All the time,
Sure.
every time.
that you can't buy.
Nope.
So I don't say no too often, unless it's just not the kind of thing I work with.
Let's see. Maybe I'll cut right on there. 1, 2.
I'm also going through my cutoffs from sewing garments.
Yes.
There's always such great pieces left. And if I don't use them in a project like this, then I cut them even smaller and use them as stuffing. So I don't have to buy the poly fiber.
Yes.
And it's
I
so
saved my
washable.
threads.
Yeah, my threads are in here. That's what I'm pulling off of this right now. All the thread that I cut off from when I'm sewing.
Yeah, they're beautiful and they're expensive, and I
It's
save them.
it's most of the bag.
Sometimes I use them for a project too.
Yeah.
I made bird nests one time with the
Ah,
threads.
I've done that. So much good pieces here. I don't know what to do next. I think I'm at the point where I have to make some shapes. I'll consult Archer. He's on my piece right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
What do you say, Archie?
Archie. He says my name is not Archie.
Uh-oh.
He
Uh-oh.
doesn't like nicknames?
The moody penguin, I'm sorry.
I see. Okay, Archer. I'm sorry. I
Wow.
apologize for giving you a fond nickname.
Oh, Archer found a great piece for me. It's keeping within the colors. I'm gonna just lay a few of these out.
I like the colors that everybody is using.
I do too.
Maybe even if it's weird because I'm using all these samples that are also from clothing manufacturers and fast fashion stuff, and they're so stretchy and weird.
Okay.
They were better to cut up. Of course, this is a really tiny, like, I couldn't wear this.
No.
I can't even make a successful mask because I would need a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've made a lot of masks, but not from these. Also, it's not breathable, which is a problem.
There's that.
No, that's not okay. No.
That's not okay. Like the thinner ones that are cotton, that's fine.
Except, of course, that the thinner they are, the less protection you get.
Well, you layer them. That is true.
Yeah. Yeah.
The t-shirt ones I've made have a few layers to them. And I broke a needle on one of them because I didn't change my needle, got a little lazy. And it wasn't as sharp as it should be. And then the needle point went flying past me, and I was like, oh my God, so scary. I don't have any glasses to protect me. I just so it whizzes right by my head. Scary.
Wow. That is.
So how big do you think your series will be, Cindy, with this? Do you think it'll be just that quilt size there in front of you, or you're not sure yet? Or
Oh, no. I'm going to make some garments or wall kind of garment pieces. I'm hoping to have a solo show in January with this theme. You know, things keep getting pushed back and changing, but I'm just going to keep making the work because one day will happen. But right now I'm still aiming for January. So it's going to have the art costumes wall pieces. I'm gonna, make some more of these, have some dimensional. It'll
Cool.
just go for as long as it needs to go. So
Awesome.
I don't have an answer to that because I'm really just getting started. But the theme started happening by itself, and I decided to just keep going with it. It actually started with 5x7s, and they're in a gallery, in 2 galleries in Claremont, and they're having a mini show. And then I thought, wow, I really like this. So, like
That's
you
cool.
said, having the black background, it just seemed like doing different animals, just a different mood to work in. And I'm not sure, the midnight and the roses just happened together, but it sounded like a song to me. So,
Oh yeah, that's true.
I decided to go with that. Then later, like I said, more things, constellations. There's just so many things to explore. And raccoons. I hadn't done the raccoons yet.
You didn't know they're there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it keeps expanding, and I don't know that everything has to be black either. We'll see.
No.
That's the nice thing about doing a series is you can really explore different subjects, different colors, different sizes of pieces. So.
And you can use anything. It seems like Barb's mom posted again that you can use tiny scraps and embellishments to make ribbon.
Yes.
And that her first thing she remembers making is curtains and a doll with Kleenex.
Oh, the
tissue doll.
That's great.
That's good. The dolls.
Like that. Yep, Mom is the doll lady.
She is.
Well, I used to make up stories with my dolls, and I think that ties in with I write very narrative poetry, and I've written novels in verse. But I think it starts from just making up stories when I was young, very young.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I think everyone who played with dolls did that. I know I did, and I know it was influenced a bit from whatever I was seeing on TV or what was around me or what I was reading or the news. So, but they all had crazy storylines, mine. And I did write a couple of books, but I don't have them anymore, and they were very short. It'd be more like a zine. I remember them, but they would all be, it'd be like the people from the neighborhood would be in it.
Stories?
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. That's kind of your world at the time, right?
Exactly. So I stopped gluing, and I haven't pinned yet, but I'm really liking the layering. I have like layers upon layers here.
Yeah, the hard part is you have to figure out when to stop because with sponge you can just keep going and going and going.
I guess, whenever you're not going to break the sewing machine needle or foot or sew your finger.
Yeah, don't sew your fingers. I did that for you. You don't need that experience.
Yeah, thank you. That was very kind.
You're welcome.
I'm also keeping that in mind as I touch like these thicker interior design fabrics. I'm like, do I have a sharp needle right now? Maybe I'll move that over. Maybe I'll go back to the thinner one, so I don't have to think about it.
Yeah, I've done a whole series that's just out of the upholstery fabrics, and I call them tapestries because I didn't do the backing or the batting, and I folded them and they draped. So the material itself can start a whole new series, just a different kind of material.
That's true.
So, it's just being open to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to do series, but I like exploring an idea more than once if it really sticks with me. So I have several series on my website if you want to see some of the things I've done
Yeah.
in the past. And the explorations. So now I have a ghost deer.
A ghost deer.
Ghost deer.
Yes. Gonna have a ghost happening here, I guess.
It is. The Midnight Garden.
Midnight
Wow.
Garden. Just don't know what's going to show up. Let's see. Kind of like my ghost.
I think I found a moon.
Ooh, look at that purple. Ooh.
The question is, how big should I make a moon of this? Because there are a few different circles here. I'm trying to decide whether I want
I'd
a
be
gigantic
doing
moon.
large moons.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to cut them both out, and then I can decide which
Okay.
one is better.
Yeah, you could do either one, but I've sort of been pushing that a little bit and doing kind of larger.
I mean, this one is still really pretty big. I could even stack them.
Yeah, that's true.
I could also have a world that has multiple moons.
A world with
write
multiple
stories
moons.
Like that. I have a poem I just wrote that there's 3 moons. So you could have, however many you want.
Cindy, do you want to read us? Do you have any more short poems to read us now that you mentioned
I
the moon poem? Let's
Okay,
get another quick reading. Yeah.
The costume I had on is actually, I wear it to perform poems from this book, Letters Under Rock. And I took it off because it's warm today. It's a collaboration with Bori Thatch, and we both do performances. Inside the book, it has pictures of us in the costumes performing.
Oh, cool.
Actually, in the very museum where I met Amy. So the pictures are from Lancaster. And yeah, I picked. So what we did is we wrote letters to each other, wrote poems in response. I am a wanderer, and he is a nomad. And so we would meet up here and there, and we do performance from the poems. It's really been a lot of fun to add performance with costumes and poetry and a collaboration.
I love the movement.
Yeah, movement, lots of movement and texture. Dear Nomad, I am a white-lined Sphinx moth with brown head and thorax, flight like a hummingbird, my body too large for its wings. A placid lake performing a moth ritual each morning before the night travelers sleep. They tell of a face in a mollusk shell who shares a story, a prayer written and burned, thanks the night for moon and stars that navigate my path. I bring healing to others, drink the moon's halo. At dusk, wildflowers speak of seeds blown to the sea. A young mother battles cancer for years, reborn. Her sister lives in the rocks by the ocean with her baby. They sit in the sand and rock to endless rhythm. A shadow song. Safe, small. Nature is large. I want to be small again. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. That was so beautiful.
So when I picked this poem, I didn't even think about it going with the theme so well. And I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, moon, star, halo.
And then Barb's been cutting out moons while you were
And
reading.
she's cutting out moons at the same time.
That's funny.
The costume does have the moth on it. Let me find it.
I cut out a tree, but I think it's a tree. I've made it into a tree.
So the white Sphinx moth is.
Oh, let's look at that.
Back. I'm trying to do this. This camera's like looking in a mirror.
Yes, everything's backwards.
It's a little tricky. Here he is. Here I am.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Moth.
The
There.
white moth. Yes, I
There
see
it
them.
is from the poem.
Very cool. There's a lot of cool stuff on there.
There's a lot going on. There's lace butterflies. I like that to flow. Pieces because we're doing performance.
Yeah.
So this was something I really wanted to get into the last few years. So I took some workshops, and so we choreograph the poems ourselves.
Nice.
And the last reading we got to do was in Hollywood, and we actually were on a very old stage. And with the lighting, that was so much fun. Before everything closed down. Yeah. It was really really fun to be on a stage. I felt like I got into it even more having the lights and then, this vintage place and the old Hollywood.
Yeah. I guess that's interesting. I think the last public thing I did was to yarn bomb a tree in Hollywood on Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh, we could have been next to each other.
We could have been next to each other and not even known.
That's right. That's fabulous.
Yeah. And I've been doing other things, but everything's becoming virtual right now, which is fun.
Most of it.
Yeah.
I like the 3 moons. That needs to happen.
Okay. I can do 3 moons. I like 3
We've
moons.
got multiple moons as your request.
I'm on board.
People.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
I'm sure
I like the multiple purple moons.
I'm even using purple glue.
And you're using purple glue. Where's
I
the purple?
don't know how this happened. Everything's purple.
Oh, my purple. Wait.
Probably not going to glue anything down just yet, but I have the glue.
Yeah.
I got the paper glue that I really, really like. I finally got some again.
What kind of
dry.
paper glue? Oh, the zip dry.
It's called zip dry. Yeah, I love zip dry for paper. This, I use this all the time when I was doing this a lot. Yeah, it's great. It doesn't wrinkle things. It's acid free. It's
that's perfect.
It's great. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so we have about 9 minutes to keep adding supplies. Let's see how many more layers we can get.
Wow, that went fast.
It always does.
It always does.
It always does.
Just kind of getting settled in here. All working.
I mean, you don't have to stop making things, but
No.
That's true. That's true. Don't have to stop.
You can just keep going the rest of the day if you want. Maybe stop to eat. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, at some
See how
point.
this is progressing.
And sleep.
And sleep. Well, yeah.
There you go.
I hear my other fabrics. Might be a little too clashing.
Oh, sometimes that's the best.
I know, I have to decide.
Lean into it.
Go.
Yeah, I'll move my tree. Move my tree over here for the moment. It's funny because as I look at this, I see that I've almost covered another piece completely. So
Oh, I do that all the time.
I was like, why is this piece even here?
I know. It's just the starter. It just gets you started.
Yeah. And I could pull it out if I wanted not to sew it so thickly.
Yeah. I've done that
This is
sometimes
kind of
too.
interesting. Kind of like this.
And I think that somewhere in my pile of piles, I have piles of stuff next to me. And I have my trusty giant bag of seam binding. So I feel like at some point I'm going to stitch this across in different directions.
I have seam binding and I have old rickrack.
Oh, I have lots of old rickrack. And that's like, what do you do with it? You do this.
Well, sometimes it's just the right thing.
Exactly.
A little bit of rickrack.
Now I'm very colorful. I'm going to go do darker color again. I want to stay with my theme.
I'm curious about how well this will do with a knife. If it'll do easier or faster or anything.
Mine's just flora, no movement.
I think Barb's got the lattice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got 3 moons. So if you don't want to get a moon, I'm okay. I've got us covered.
I do, but I'm putting a peacock down. They don't really come out at night, but
that's okay.
This one did. This one wanted. This one really wanted a glass of milk.
A glass of milk, warm milk.
Yeah. Well, I went to the fridge, you know. You can have.
They even
Oh,
have
I see.
baby
And then
gift
heat it
wrap.
up. Mhm.
So much stuff. Okay, so we got 5 minutes, everyone. No rush, and you don't have to finish. Obviously, I'm gonna pin stuff down and then stitch it later, and then we could share with each other. So we could share everyone next week what we made and post it online. Feel free to do that because Shannon, who was a guest a few weeks ago, still working on hers. It's evolving beautifully. She made the sea creature theme and made an octopus.
Yeah.
And, she posted a picture on social media today, and she said it's not done, but oh my God, it's progressed so much. It's so colorful. Even the crab has changed colors. I think she's been painting pieces of it. And the octopus is coming off the canvas a bit, which I love when that happens. Yeah. Which maybe I'll do it on this piece because that's probably why I used all the buttons. I like things to just come off, be a little bit 3D.
I do too.
Yeah. Oh, Barb, are you cutting out exact squares?
I am not. Does it look like it?
Let's see what.
Oh, it looks because it's okay. So this is the pattern. It's wavy. So
Wavy.
I cut one of
Vintagey.
these and it's like some kind of bizarro plants that are growing up.
Well, you got 3 moons.
I've got, oh, they moved. They all moved. Wait, let's see.
That's all right.
Like that or something. Yeah. And then these.
Yeah, just that's good. They don't have to be the
Maybe
same
this should
height.
be
That looks really cool.
So, I don't know. Maybe like there.
Okay, let's see if I can pin mine together.
Probably different heights. But I can have more of them. Clearly, I can make a whole bunch.
Oh, I forgot about my big piece. I have to clip it together instead of pin. Get these other things out of the way.
This could be next to this too. Be over here. Oh, actually, I kind of like that. Ooh,
Barb's getting so intense. She's talking to herself.
I always talk to myself, Amy. You know this.
I know. I do too. That's why it's funny.
Constantly talking to myself.
So, Cindy, do you have? Yeah. What kind of machine do you have, Cindy? Sewing machine.
I have a Bernina.
Oh, you have the expensive one. Nice.
Well, it's
Is it old?
older, but yeah. Well, what happened is that when I started doing this, I had a sewing machine that cost like $125, and it was from the 70s, from high school.
Yeah.
And I was able to do, a lot of wonderful art quilts and all of that. But then I started getting more serious. I was speaking to quilt guilds and teaching and all that, and decided I was really going to stick with quilting because I was a painter. And so when I, got serious and I needed something that could do a little more heavy duty. And so I just started asking some of the other teachers, and Berninas were recommended for the drawing with the machine. They were very good. And I definitely can, stitch through some pretty heavy stuff when I need to. So I didn't want the computer edition because I didn't want prefabbed designs because I'm an artist. I'm showing in galleries. I'm not saying people that aren't making art, but I need to do original designs. So I didn't want the computer stuff. And the lettering I usually do by hand. There's like one alphabet on here, but I'd rather have the work of my hand on the pieces. So the first thing I showed, this is all my handwriting, because nobody else can do that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not on a machine. So yeah, that's what I have now. But you don't have to have a fancy machine to do art quilts. I didn't for a long time, and still made some wonderful things.
Oh yeah. I was just thinking about supplies and where people are going to get stuff right now, as I was thinking about my needles.
Oh,
You know,
well,
I have so many. I probably don't
the
need
quilt
any, but
shop- the quilt shop did open that you can get things. You know, I got some of these fabrics not too long ago.
oh,
You know, you
cool.
can go inside with a mask, so that helps. I mean, I was doing online ordering at first when nothing was open because I needed needles too. But now you can find things a little bit more in the stores if you want to go to the store.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
But some of them do the drive up order. You could order and they'll just put it, either you pick it up or they put it in your trunk. So it's pretty
Yeah.
quick.
that's some
I
of
did
that
that.
too.
In fact, I did that today. Or I ordered something from Joanne earlier this week, including some needles, actually.
Needles.
Ah.
You
Special
gotta,
needles, but not for me.
gotta have them.
That's our topic of today.
I guess so. How to get needles during the pandemic.
Needles.
Needles. What to think about, because we were so busy making masks and everything else that we're going through needles pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes. So should I hold this up one more time?
Yeah, let's look at Cindy's. Let's be our final inspiration here. Oh,
Nice.
look at that.
There we go.
That was awesome.
That's really nice.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy, for also being with us today. Thank you for sharing and inspiring. Yeah, I mean, it went really super fast, but I think mine art quilt is coming out awesome.
Can we see yours, Amy?
I don't think I can pick it up yet, but here it is.
Angle it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I could kind of pick it up. I don't know if I'm going to keep the bird, but I might keep the bird.
I like the bird. That's a really
Okay,
cool
I
bird.
might keep the bird.
Stay.
Okay, the bird is staying. I got bird
Go
mood.
for the peacock.
Okay.
Maybe you'll get a name too.
Maybe he will. I'll consult Archer. Archer will talk about it later. He's whispering something in my ear. But we went over time because we were having so much fun. We didn't even notice. We're getting Richard said he loves your piece. It's beautiful, Cindy. That we all have some great pieces. So thank you. Thank you. Oh, look at Barb's. Yay.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
That's my things thus far. So
Yay.
Really nice.
And Barb and I will see how far we get. And Cindy, you can send us updates too. And then Cindy, what is your website again one more time?
Oh, it's Fiberverse.com. So fiber like fiber art, verse like poetry. One word. Fiberverse.com.
Yay. And you can come back anytime.
Oh,
Yay.
thank you. Oh, look, it's on the screen.
Hey, look at that. You don't even have to worry about spelling it.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys are the best.
Aw.
Thanks for everyone who joined us today.
Yay. And thanks for Barb for being on and my co-host, my unofficial official co-host along with Archer. And we'll see you next week where we have Joshua Howard on. And the theme is dance. So we'll see if Barb and I can dance or not.